Welcome back to my tutorial series on how to get a Blender model into Planet Coaster, plus full animation and textures. The last time we talked about UV unwrap and how to make seams on a model. We also did it with a cylinder. As you can see, I got it all open. I got my model standing there and I got it unwrapped. I forgot to mention the last time, but our model, when we go down and we go to the user guide of toolkit, let's go there. It does say something about trying to keep it off the edges, so many pixels, and UV should stay at least 3 pixels away from the edges of the textures. And also it needs some room in between different kinds of textures. I haven't talked about that too much, but let's make another cube, put it in here, do the same what we did with this cube, and give it some room in between. That's more or less what it states. So let's go over here, scale this down to a nice size, move it over to the corner. Let's go back into our object mode. As you can see, it disappears. Don't worry, it's still there. Let's create a new object, a new cube. Let's bring it up to the side, bring it a bit more so that it's aligned and above the grid. Okay, so now let's select it. That's another thing, an easy thing. If you're moving around, one of the easy tools is to also use Shift and your center mouse button so that you can actually move the camera within, how do I say that? Within the view without rotating it. So we got our cube selected. Let's go over to edit mode. And I already got it selected to our edges. Now let's select the same as we did with the other cube. Let's select all the edges that we want to cut with our seams. We go down here and we do that. Now, like I said in the last series, press CTRL E, mark seam. We got our seams marked. Say you have a wrong seam, then you can, in the same menu, if you say select that edge and you know that this one is wrong, press CTRL E and clear seam. So you can always undo it and redo it, whatever you really want. But for our case, we're going to go back to keeping the space in between the two models. So let's do A, select all, or L to select what I have selected now. As you can see, also, I got two groups at the moment. I haven't joined them together yet. I'm going to leave them apart from each other. I think we're going to animate two cubes, seeming that it's going to be two separate bones. So it's a good way also showing the textures and the way we do the textures and how we save it. So let's unwrap our cube. So let's do, give me a minute. Let's do A. Now it selects all. We don't want that. Let's go to edit mode, click away, let me see, there we go. And let's do unwrap. So unwrap, for the lazy people under us, you can always do smart UV project. You'll let the computer calculate how you want, or the computer wants to unwrap it. It can be easy for certain things, but for other things, it's actually really irritating to use this. So if you've got something simple, then I could suggest just use Smart UV Project. Otherwise, always try to use the seams so that you can select how that you want your model to be unwrapped. I prefer to use the unwrap and the seams. It's easier for me. But here we go. We got our model unwrapped in the UV editor. Now let's rotate this around because we know that our other model already has space under N. Try and put it as straight as we can. Let's scale this down a bit and move it up. Like I said before, try to keep it off the edges as much as you can, and try to keep it a little bit space in between both the models if you've got more than one. So let's select both of them, go back to object mode, and then double A should select both of them. As you can see at the moment, it's not actually unwrapping it together. If I were to click on there, I can't select it because it's not joined together. When they're separate, they can actually, well, do a bit difficult about unwrapping together. They're not joined together, so we'll first have to join them together. So like I've shown before, we go to object mode, we've got both selected, and we do Ctrl J. Now they're both joined together in one group. We can always separate them if we want, but for now we're going to keep them nicely together. And as you can see, nothing further has changed, only the numbers. Now we've got them both selected, so we go back into edit mode. And say it goes wrong. We go twice A, and there we go. We got both our UV unwraps. So now is a good moment to actually start making sure that we can texture them. I'm not going to use Photoshop or any other program like GIMP or Critter. I'm just going to keep it to Paint for now because it's the easiest. It shouldn't make no difference about it being made in Paint because you can eventually save it as a PNG, so it shouldn't really do anything different. Another thing I do want to say before we go on, if we go back to the user guide, it also states that our maximum of the size of our texture can be 20 by 84 of 48. So under N we got a nice count of what kind of texture sizes we can do. And we can go up a maximum to this. But I don't actually have to keep them at the same size. I can blend them off, like it says here, non-uniform dimensional textures. So I can choose whether I want to do that plus that or that plus that. So it is easy. I prefer to just keep by doing twice one size. Blender usually does that too. You can change it if you want, but in our case, we're not going to do anything about that. There are enough tutorials to explain how to do it and how to go deeper into UV unwrapping. I don't want to actually do that. I want to try and move on to get our model so far that we can actually animate it, get the textures together and import it. So yeah, we'll bring this down again. Now, what we want to do is, because it's now nicely tucked in together, we want to go to UVs, we want to go to Export Layout, and now we can actually export the layout of how our cubes are unwrapped. So we'll do very simply cube, and in our case, we're going to place that on our desktop. I have one here, but I'm going to throw away since I'm not going to use it anymore. So yeah, we'll just do cube color and export layout. Another thing that I haven't mentioned, you've got so many different tabs in Blender, all kinds of things. The important thing for Planet Coaster is to actually put a material in. So we can make a new material by pressing new, and a new material is created. It has nothing to do with the UV. It's more that Planet Coaster knows, oh, hey, we got a material, we got a model, so we'll combine it together. It's the way that more or less that the toolkit reacts to Blender, and the way that Blender, well, doesn't have to blend it together, whether it's called Blender or not. No, it's the toolkit recognizes that the name is the same as what it's called in the model. So we're going to change this to cube underscore color, and we're going to press enter. So now we've changed the name. Also, we can do up to, I think it was 8 or 16, let me see, amount of textures set for any file is 8. So we can do a maximum of 8 textures down under here. So we could always separate the models from each other, make a separate texture for that one, separate for that one. But in our case, we're going to keep it nice, neatly together. So we already named it. So that is prepared for when we're going to export the model. So yeah, that's more or less it. We can still do some painting. So I'll bring this down. We'll go over, as I see that my model is not there, I'll bring it up from my second screen. There we go. And we can open it up with paint. I got paint actually under here. Yeah, and this is more or less what we have in Blender. So if I double click this, bring this to the side, size this a little bit more up, we actually got our blueprint from our UV in a PNG where we can change colors or make it more detailed or such forth. Now, for our purpose, we're going to actually just choose a couple of cubes and we're going to color on them. So let's make one red, another one red. We'll make this yellow or orange. Let's kind of blend in between. We'll go for orange. And let's make our other cube blue and green. So we'll go for a couple of blue. So we know this is the bottom and this is the top. Some green and maybe a little bit of light green. There we go. Now we got it nicely colored in. We don't actually have to color in the outside. We can do that, but because the model is, the UV is already over this, it will not do anything with the color outside of it. So we might as well just leave it blank for now. Now we can save our image. Sorry for the language. It's in Dutch for now. I'm half Dutch. But yeah, we got our texture more or less ready. So we can shut this down. And I'm going to leave it at this. And in the next tutorial, we're going to fill it in, have a look at it, and we're going to start on bringing an amateur in and a bone, amateur bone. And we're going to start making groups, vertex groups. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and till the next time.